Hello students, welcome to Patashala. I am K. Muralidhar from South Asian University, where I am an honorary professor and J.C. Bose National Fellow. Today I am going to talk about redox reactions and redox potential in living organisms from the paper Thermodynamics and Living Systems. What do we learn from this module? The learning outcomes as listed here. At the end of this module, one will be able to realize that organisms are chemical factories where thousands of chemical or metabolic reactions are simultaneously taking place. Appreciate that a significant proportion of these reactions are of oxidation reduction type. Appreciate the fact that all reactions inside the living cell are catalyzed reactions without exception, and that the biocatalysts are called enzymes, and also that based on the type of reactions they catalyze, enzymes are divided into 6 major groups. Understand that one of the largest of such groups is oxidoreductases. Understand that the sum total of all the chemical reactions in the body is named metabolism, which includes catabolism and anabolism. Realize the fact that catabolism, physiologists call this digestion, results in the release of energy, which in biology is essentially bond energy in the form of molecules like ATP. Notice that the terminal part of these oxidative processes leading to energy production in eukaryotic organisms occurs in mitochondria and chloroplasts, and this is simply electron transfer through redox carriers. Notice that the terminal electron acceptor in aerobic organisms is oxygen, while in anaerobic organisms a variety of compounds serve the same function. Notice that in aerobic organisms, oxygen is reduced to water at the end of redox reactions, and the production of ATP in mitochondria is called respiration-linked oxidative phosphorylation. Realize that the electron transfers are similar to what happens in batteries. In both, electrons or redox equivalents move from one redox couple with higher redox potential to another with lower redox potential, that is more positive potential. Let us introduce this lesson. Recall that the chemical definition of living state is that thousands of read biochemical reactions occur simultaneously within the body, making it appear like a non-stop chemical factory. The sum total of all these reactions is named metabolism. All living organisms require food, water, and a terminal oxidant, oxygen, in aerobic organisms. There are thousands of reactions. The participating biomolecules are called metabolites. Each of the reactions involving a metabolite is called a metabolic transformation. All metabolic transformations or reactions are catalyzed reactions in any living organism. These biocatalysts are named enzymes. Enzymology is the study of enzymes from all perspectives, like their chemical nature, their purification, their catalytic efficiency, kinetic and thermodynamic analysis of the reactions, their structure and mechanism of catalysis, their promiscuity or specificity, and their evolution, and others. Even though there are thousands of reactions, an analysis of these reactions yielded an insight that they are only 6 types. Majority of enzymes catalyze oxidation reduction, also called redox, type of reactions. An example is lactate dehydrogenase catalyzes the oxidation of lactic acid into pyruvic acid. In chemistry, one would have noticed that addition of oxygen or any electronegative element, fluorine for example, is an oxidation process. For example, carbon combines with oxygen to give you carbon monoxide, or hydrogen combines with fluorine to give you hydrogen fluoride. Oxidation is also removal of electrons. Like sodium, when it ionizes, it gives up an electron, and this is an example of oxidation. The reverse process to that of oxidation is called reduction. Example, ferric oxide is reduced to metallic iron. Similarly, bromine combines with two electrons to give you bromide, which is a reduction process. In biology also, oxidations and reductions mean the same thing respectively. In addition, removal of hydrogen also is oxidation and the reverse is reduction in biology. In fact, majority of redox reactions in biology are essentially removal or addition of hydrogen. The oxidizing capacity or the reducing capacity of an agent is equal to the number of electrons involved. Hence, in chemistry, the equivalent weights of oxidants and reductants react exactly with each other since they involve taking up or giving up of the same number of electrons. Now, this lesson is about bioenergetics, of which we have seen little bit in principles in the other lessons. Essentially, we have defined a living system as an energy machine which can make energy, store energy, utilize energy for performing work. And we, from physical terminology, we said this is what we call as living in a steady state. When we die, we say we reach equilibrium. In this lesson, we will try to understand how do living organisms extract energy from dietary components. We have already mentioned that diet consists of complex biomolecules. These are degraded into simpler structures, as is shown here. Proteins are degraded into amino acids, and then in the other stages of metabolism, these are ultimately degraded into inorganic components like carbon dioxide and water. All these are happening in what we call as metabolic pathways, some of which are shown here. We have already mentioned that metabolism as a term refers to sum total of metabolic reactions, thousands of which are there occurring inside a living body. However, an analysis of these reactions realized that there are only 6 groups or types of reactions. Accordingly, the enzymes which catalyze these belong to 6 groups. These are listed here. Oxidoreductases are the first group. They catalyze reactions which involve oxidation and reaction. For example, lactic dehydrogenase catalyzes the oxidation of lactic acid to pyruvic acid. Transferases are a group of enzymes which catalyze the transfer of a chemical group from one place to another. For example, glucose plus ATP becomes glucose 6-phosphate catalyzed by so-called hexokinase. Hydrolases are a third group of enzymes which result in the hydrolysis of a chemical covalent bond with the help of elements of water. Lyases are the fourth group of enzymes which catalyze a reaction in which a double bond will be a resultant. Phenylalanine ammonia lyase or histidine ammonia lyase is an example. Isomerases are the fifth group of enzymes which catalyze isomerization. An example will be glucose 6-phosphate becomes converted to fructose 6-phosphate and aldohexose becoming a ketohexose, and that is catalyzed by phosphohexose isomerase. And the last group of enzymes are called ligases, which will join two groups with a chemical covalent bond. A famous example is DNA ligase, which joins nucleotides and creates a phosphodiester bond, thus resulting in a polynucleotide. This digestion or metabolism, or more appropriately catabolism, occurs, as we have learned from other lessons, in 3 stages: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Here is what is depicted, the phase 3 metabolism, which incidentally and interestingly is common to all living organisms or aerobic organisms. The essence of this is a metabolic cycle called Krebs cycle, in which organic compounds derived at the end of phase 2 metabolism enter this cycle and are totally degraded or burnt out into inorganic components like carbon dioxide and water. This TCA cycle or Krebs cycle consists of a series of metabolic reactions whereby acetyl-CoA and oxaloacetic acid combine together to form citric acid, which undergoes a series of metabolic transformations and in the process regenerate the oxaloacetic acid, which has a catalytic role, and other carbons are removed as carbon dioxide. Hence, the major question in biology comes how this degradation of complex dietary components into simpler inorganic components through three phases of metabolism, how does it result in energy production? For that, we will have to understand a simple physical example of batteries, how they function and how they give us energy. Same principles are operating in living systems. To begin with, we should know that degradation, digestion, whatever you call it, catabolism, results in simplification of structural complexity. And there lies the secret, because our laws of thermodynamics has told us that whenever a complex structure is reduced to simpler structure, energy is released, exothermic reactions, and that's what precisely happens. What we should understand in biological systems, this energy is a bond energy, and this bond energy exists both as energy storage forms like starch, glycogen, and energy currency like adenosine triphosphate. How does this get produced? This event occurs in mitochondria, which is shown also in earlier lessons and also possibly here, and in which the inner membrane has certain molecular assemblies called electron transport particles. One such thing is depicted at a molecular level here, which contains a series of respiratory carriers. Some of them are lipid quinones like ubiquinone, some of them are hemoproteins like cytochromes, some of them are enzymes like succinate dehydrogenase and NADH oxidase. These enzymes or carriers are all together called as electron carriers or redox carriers, and their very architecture within the membrane, inner membrane, creates anisotropy. When the redox equivalents with a minus 1.32 millivolts or electron volts from NADH-NAD couple jump to oxygen-water couple at the other end of the spectrum, which is a plus 0.8 electron volt redox energy, then this jump will create by a reaction called oxidative phosphorylation mediated by an enzyme called ATP synthase in the form of a chemical bond energy called ATP. These electron carriers are depicted in this slide. As we mentioned, the inner membrane or especially the electron transport particle, the way these enzymes and carriers are located in the membrane, it has a property of anisotropy, which simply means that during this electron jump or redox equivalent jump from one carrier to another, protons, if it is released, they fall on the intermembrane space and the rest of it is carried through. In other words, at the end of an electron transport or a redox equivalent transported from NADH all the way to oxygen, protons are accumulating in the intermembrane space or outside of the inner membrane. And then this creates what is called a proton gradient. This proton gradient, any ionic gradient across a semipermeable membrane, has energy. The collapse of this gradient will definitely release energy which can be translated and coupled to bond energy. In addition, this inner membrane, like any other membrane, has a membrane potential. Not only that, the proton gradient essentially creates a pH gradient. In an extreme case like chloroplast, this pH gradient can be even 3 units. In other cases like animal mitochondria and others, the pH gradient is not that steep. Finally, there is an enzyme called ATP synthase, which actually exhibits ATPase activity. It is also called as F0F1 ATPase in vitro, but in vivo, that means when it is part of the inner membrane, it is a ATP synthase. This proton gradient, pH gradient, as well as the collapse of the membrane potential drives proton and hydroxyl group to come together in the form of water, and this also essentially the major reaction that occurs is the combination of adenosine diphosphate and phosphoric acid forming adenosine triphosphate. There H and OH from these two components are removed and water is formed. Therefore, ATPase, which is defected, which is essentially a molecular pump, which is also anisotropic in its properties, The collapse of the gradients results in the synthesis of ATP. These are tightly coupled reactions in organisms, and this is called respiration linked oxidative phosphorylation, because respiration in technical sense means taking up oxygen, and oxygen is consumed only in the electron transport, not in the lungs, and therefore gas exchange in the lungs is followed by respiration in the tissues, where redox equivalents finally reach oxygen, reducing it to water. This is a 4-electron jump, and the enzyme ATP synthase couples this electron transport to phosphorylation of ADP, which is an endothermic reaction requiring energy, and the energy comes from collapse of proton gradient and so-called membrane potential. Therefore, ATP as an energy is synthesized by living organisms in mitochondria, which are present in all respiring tissues. To understand this process of oxidative phosphorylation and the basic mechanism underlying the synthesis of energy in the form of ATP, one should understand from chemistry the functioning of batteries or battery cells. The basis of this is that if you look at many metals or many other organic compounds, they exist in two conditions. One, where the electrons are not released, this is so-called reduced state. Another, where the electrons are released, in which you call it an oxidized state. Therefore, a reduced state and an oxidized state form what is known as a redox couple. Imagine if redox couples are present, two redox couples, an example of which we will give later. These redox couples from either metals and ionized metals or organic compounds and ionized organic compounds, the chemistry people have arranged them in order which is a decreasing order of their redox potential. Now, what is important to understand that the redox potential values that are measured against a hydrogen reference electrode, redox couple, is getting a positive sign in chemistry, and that is what is depicted in this table, where the redox couples are arranged in decreasing order of redox potential. In this case, because they have given the sign positive, it simply means it is the ability to get reduced and not ability to reduce others. Exactly opposite is what is depicted in biology, where the same redox couples are arranged in topsy-turvy order and the potential is given a negative sign, so that we get a table containing decreasing order of redox potential but in negative term, which simply means anybody who is above can reduce anybody who is below. To understand this even better, let us look at a simple battery system in which, let us say, a metal like zinc or zinc rod is immersed in its own solution, salt solution, or on the other side, a copper rod is immersed in, let us say, copper sulfate. If the two are joined by wires and then they are joined to an ammeter, and if these two electrocouples are joined by a salt bridge, as is depicted here, one notices that electrons will start flowing from one of the redox couples or half battery cell to the other, and the ammeter can actually give us the so-called electric current generated. How does this happen is here indicated. In one case, where a zinc rod is depicted or immersed in zinc sulfate, let us say, the zinc from the rod essentially gets ionized and therefore becomes zinc 2 positive ion and 2 electrons are released. Similarly, if you look at the other side, the copper sulfate, copper ion part of the copper sulfate acquires these electrons because the circuit is complete and gets reduced as metallic copper and gets deposited on the rod. And therefore, the current flows from the zinc electron couple to copper electrode couple. And that is essentially the functioning of a battery cell. Indeed, in the olden days, some of you might have heard of what are called as gravity cells, where the electron flow is from top to bottom, and one such gravity cell is indicated here. one can have any number of such cells arranged and you get the so-called batteries of different voltages. Hence, we understand that in biological systems, we have a series of redox carriers. They are all linked to each other in mitochondrial inner membrane, and we assign values for these redox carriers in the form of redox potential. And how do we get these values? They are always measured against a reference electrode couple, which is hydrogen and hydrogen gas versus the so-called ionized hydrogen, that is proton. And therefore, chemistry people measure the electrode potential of all the electrode couples against a hydrogen electrode, but kept at 1 atmospheric pressure and 1 molar concentration, whereas in biology we cannot afford to do this, as the pH is supposed to be maintained at 7, and therefore it is done at 1 atmospheric pressure but not at 1 molar, but at 10 to the power of minus 7 molar concentration of hydrogen. Otherwise, the system is similar to a battery cell or a living mitochondria. So now we have understood till now how battery cells operate. Two redox couples are linked by wire and as well as by a salt bridge for reverse flow, and that creates electrical energy. Same principle is used in biological systems, and as we mentioned, in our tissues there is a subcellular organelle. It is present in every tissue, respiring tissue, organelles which we have already described as mitochondria. If you look at a cut section view of this mitochondria, it is a membrane enclosed subcellular organelle, contains two membranes enclosing a central space called matrix, outer membrane, inner membrane. Well, the outer membrane is permeable to everything. The inner membrane is truly a semi-permeable membrane. Not only that, the inner membrane is folded and thrown into number of folds called cristae. If you look through electron microscope, we can see bleb-like structures on the cristae. These bleb-like structures are essentially contain the series of redox carriers that we have depicted earlier. These redox carriers are of different types. How they are linked, how they function to generate energy in the form of a battery cell, exactly similar to way battery operates to generate electrical energy, we'll be describing in the next. What is depicted here is a cartoon whereby in the inner membrane, especially in the electron transport particle, a series of redox carriers are localized. They are present in the inner membrane, and the way they are distributed geographically, it gives you the impression of an anisotropy. There is a tremendous importance, physiological significance for this anisotropy, which we will see later. What is depicted here are these electron carriers, or otherwise called as redox carriers. The one which has got the highest reduction potential, negative sign in the biological sense, is the NAD-NADH couple, which means as a result of metabolism, especially carried out by oxidoreductases in the tissues, a side product is the reduced pyridine nucleotide called as NADH. This NADH is shown here, and this is oxidized by an enzyme called NADH oxidase, and therefore the hydrogens which are removed, hydride and proton, are transferred to the next redox couple, which means we learn two things. One, the entire electron transport particle or the redox carrier chain in the case of mitochondria is organized in such a way that four complexes can be discerned out. These have been discerned earlier days by use of specific inhibitors of this complex process, and therefore they are called as complex 1, complex 2, complex 3 and complex 4. Complex 1 is what we have just now mentioned, NADH oxidase enzymatic activity, whereby NADH is oxidized to NAD plus, and the hydride and proton that are removed are transferred to the next energy couple or electrode couple. That brings us to this focus that the next electrode couple obviously must have less redox potential in terms of arithmetic value as well as in the negative sign, so that these redox electrons or protons and hydride ions, whatever you call it, they are called redox equivalents. They jump from an electrode couple which is a higher redox potential, negative, to the next one which is a lower redox potential. And therefore, the redox carriers or redox equivalents from NAD-NADH couple jumps to the next one, which happens to be ubiquinone or lipid quinone. Meanwhile, there is another enzyme which is called succinate dehydrogenase, which forms what is called complex 2, which oxidizes succinate. Succinate exists in two forms, the so-called reduced form succinic acid and the oxidized form called fumaric acid. This forms an electrode couple, and therefore when redox carrier equivalents from NADH can jump to ubiquinone, similarly redox carriers from succinate can also jump to ubiquinone, and this is mediated by the second complex called complex 2. Subsequently, through a series of hemoproteins called cytochromes, which are organized in a particular order called cytochrome B followed by C followed by A, and within that we have A3, C1, like that. These cytochromes are arranged in an order, that too giving rise this anisotropic property. The redox equivalents from ubiquinone or lipid quinone, reduced to ubiquinone, are transferred, but in this process these redox carriers, cytochromes as they are called, carry only electrons, and therefore the protons, because of anisotropic nature of the membrane, fall into intermembrane space, creating what is called as a proton motive force or proton gradient. When these electrons or redox equivalents ultimately are passed through cytochrome B followed by C1 followed by A3, then finally they jump onto the last redox couple in biological system, all aerobic organisms, which is called oxygen-water redox couple. When these redox equivalents, 4 electron equivalent, jump and bind to oxygen, oxygen molecule will be reduced to, by a 4 electron jump, it will be reduced to so-called water molecule. Hence, the generation of water is actually in the mitochondrial respiration process. So if you are looking at the so-called bioenergetics or biological oxidations, what we realize is the operation of a battery and the operation of a living system through mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation are similar. The primary process that is here is the carrying of redox carriers from a higher redox potential to a lower redox potential, thereby generating a voltage gradient and hence being coupled to reaction of ATP synthesis, which is an endothermic reaction. Now if we look at it from a biological perspective, it simply means that dietary components are broken down to simpler structures, thereby the laws of thermodynamics telling us that energy is released. The actual process of energy release is actually in the mitochondria, of which we have seen the detail. If we look at it at a gross level, organismic level, different dietary components generate different energies. How do we know that? Supposing I take 1 mole of glucose. Glucose is an example of carbohydrate, and in most of the majority of organisms, glucose is the source of energy. If in a physics department you burn 1 mole of glucose in a bomb calorimeter, you get 680 kilocalories of energy. However, in a biological system, we notice that if you take sugar, carbohydrate, that is what is indicated here, for every gram that you take, you get about 4 kilocalories. Similar values are given in terms of fat, if fat is a part of the diet, and for protein, if that is the part of the diet. Obviously, fat among all the components in our diet yields the highest amount of energy, given in kilocalories as value 9. So, students, let us now summarize at the end of this lesson what we have learned from this module. Organisms are chemical factories where thousands of chemical or metabolic reactions are simultaneously taking place. A significant proportion of these reactions are of oxidation reduction type. All reactions inside the living cell are catalyzed reactions without exception. That the biocatalysts are called enzymes and also that based on the type of reactions they catalyze, enzymes are divided into 6 major groups. One of the largest of such groups is oxidoreductases. The sum total of all the chemical reactions is named metabolism, which includes catabolism and anabolism. Catabolism, physiologists call this digestion, results in release of energy, which in biology is essentially bond energy in molecules like ATP. The terminal part of these oxidative processes leading to energy production in eukaryotic organisms occurs in mitochondria and chloroplasts in plants, and this is simply electron transfer through redox carriers. The terminal electron acceptor in aerobic organisms is oxygen, while in anaerobic organisms, a variety of compounds serve the same function. In aerobic organisms, oxygen is reduced to water at the end of redox reactions, and the production of ATP in mitochondria is called respiration-linked oxidative phosphorylation. The electron transfers are similar to what happens in batteries. In both, electrons or redox equivalents move from one redox couple with a higher redox potential to another with a lower redox potential, that is more positive potential. The transfer of redox potentials or redox equivalents, whenever it occurs, wherever it occurs, across a sufficient potential difference liberates enough energy, which when coupled to phosphorylation of ADP to ATP results in ATP formation. One of the possible mechanisms for the oxidative phosphorylation in mitochondria and chloroplasts is that transfer of electrons through redox carriers results in the formation of a proton gradient across the inner membrane. The collapse of this proton gradient and to some extent the membrane potential drives the end-organic reaction of ATP synthesis, that is phosphorylation of ADP catalyzed by F0, F1 type of ATPase present in the anisotropic membrane systems. Thank you for your patience.